You know what's wild?
Hmm.
So I was cooking. I just want to say I'm a good cook. Um,
I
I
haven't
cut
tried any of your
off.
cooking yet.
It's good. You're missing out. I was making some pesto, chicken
Ooh.
pasta with like parmesan and stuff like that, and I cut my thumb, and it's like it doesn't hurt, but it's just annoying, and
It's
I'm so annoyed by it.
that sounds like it feels like when you get your finger pricked when you're giving blood.
Yeah. And then you kind of like you put the pressure on it and it's like, it doesn't hurt, but it's annoying.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
In fact,
annoying.
for
This is
me,
inconvenient.
yeah, for me personally, like I try to give as much blood as I can. But for me, like the blood sample prick hurts more than the actual needle for me personally.
Oh, I do the whole thing like they like prep you and they're like, "All right, don't look at it." And then if you're one of those people that like gets really anxious, they make you like hold your breath and like move your feet around or something. And also, I'll be
Yeah.
sitting there in the chair and it's wild. I hope somebody films it. But I'm like holding my breath and like my feet are moving around and I'm like sort of like making noises. And then like she like gets the needle in and I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, so it's like, just imagine this really crazy person. Then all of a sudden she just morphs into this like, all right, everything's cool. It's all right. It's all good.
Yeah,
It's
I've had a lot of surgeries in my lifetime to be
really,
okay with needles.
really, that's
Very okay with
interesting.
that. Yeah, yeah.
My dad
Like
loves giving blood.
a heroin addict, I am okay with needles.
Similar to heroin addicts, I like needles.
Pretty similar.
Um,
That's one thing we have in common.
my dad loves giving blood. So he was told one day, and I hope that they were just like telling him this because they know he's like a sucker for this stuff. But his blood, my dad's blood, is very rare. It's like one of the rare ones. And then
Hmm.
it also has like enough nutrients or something, I don't know, that it can be given to babies.
Scrumptious.
And that's very rare when it comes to like, he's 55 or something and the fact that his blood can be given to babies. So he is like he gives blood once a week. He goes as much
Wow.
as he can. He loves it. Like the nurses know him and he gets a shirt every time, so he loves it. Like he just goes crazy for it. And I think I've told him, I'm like, you need to get a tattoo since you're cool with needles. And he goes, I'm not cool with the ink. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
That's a
you're a
very,
cool
very
dad.
dad thing to say.
It is. He's such a dad. He is
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a
I too enjoy giving blood quite a bit. I don't know, it's just a little thing to give back to people, pay it forward a bit.
it's it makes you feel good. Like
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
even though all the stipulations of like you can't work out right after, you have to eat like a ton of food and
Mhm, mhm.
like you shouldn't go into the hot sun or whatever. There's so many stipulations, but you're like, I did something today.
Yeah.
I did something to help somebody today. Pay it
And
forward.
in high school, I volunteered with the blood drive that they had, and I prided myself on being what I call myself the headhunter,
Oh my
where
gosh.
I would go to the classes where the students would not show up, and I'd open the door during the middle of class. I'm like, "Hey, yo, you gotta get blood now," and then just the look on their face, and when like kind of the shame, they're just like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it," and I just call them like, "Oh, you're a coward!" like in front
That
of
is so
everyone.
mean. Oh my
It
gosh.
it is, but
It's for a good
and
cause, but
it wasn't just
yeah.
and it wasn't just me. Like the teachers would be on it, the students would be on like, "Oh, you're so scared" and stuff like that.
Oh my
I had a lot of
gosh.
fun being a headhunter. I really enjoyed doing that.
Ben doesn't like to. Ben like
Well,
he'll
he doesn't like blood. He faints at blood.
So this is my actual thing. So I cut my thumb and I just want to say like it was bleeding pretty bad and
Mm.
I just sliced it and I cut a chunk of it off. I run to the bathroom and I just like start putting pressure on it and I like get it under the sink so I'm not making a mess. And Ben comes in to help me, and my first thought is like, oh my god, he's gonna pass out, and I'm not ready because my thumb is bleeding. And he was good. Like, he got out the Band-Aids, but he's not looking at it, and he's like, you got to put the Band-Aid on. But he was great. But his dad will apparently like see it
Yes, his
once,
dad
and he's
will.
just down, and his dad will go down hard. Like, it'll
I
be quick. It's pretty wild. But yeah, he's kind of the same way. He's never given blood. I think he told me that blood day
Yeah,
at school was like the worst day.
that's a lot. I've only seen Ben pass out from blood once, and that was when we were pretty young. We weren't as good of friends as we were now.
Oh.
We were I think it was like tryouts for a baseball team, and I think all I remember is like having to test our speed, and we had to like sprint between like the fields. I think it was either him or some other kid tripped and like scraped their knee or something, started bleeding, and I just remember seeing Ben pass out, like little Ben just pass out in the dirt.
No, it's little Ben.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't honestly. I didn't really know the kid that well, so I'm like, oh well, that's a little odd, but
That's a bummer,
whatever.
dude.
Yeah, pretty much. Hi. I guess we didn't see you walk in on this podcast.
It's crazy. You should
Welcome.
have knocked.
Yeah, you should have knocked. We had fresh cookies, but we ate them all, so I'm sorry you're kind of SOL there. But hi, welcome to Flick Your Bick with Ben and Nick, except with not Ben. This is Emma, which I will remember her last name because it is Emma Carr. But we are talking again, doing some more podcast episodes to fill in the gap of time because we went on kind of quite of a long dry spell. We got busy, and you know where we are living in the Midwest, it has just been snowing and constantly under 20 degrees. So it's not been a great time. But anyways, we already kind of did a little warm up talking about all sorts of things like Ben fainting. So, Emma, what have you been flicking your bick to?
So, obviously, we're both podcast listeners. And then
Actually,
everybody
I'm
else
kind
is.
of not.
Are you really?
I actually don't listen to too many podcasts, strangely enough.
Weird. Anyway,
Yeah,
well, I am a big podcast listener, as I hope everybody listening to this is as well. I have fallen in love with this podcast. It's done by this comedian who writes for The Late Late Show with James Corden. And it is called All Fantasy Everything. And they
I think my friend listens to that, and I think my friend really wants me to listen to that.
I love them. They are hilarious. They like get me through really, really long, stressful days at work. They are so funny. And then it really makes you think about like how, so essentially the premise of the show is they do fantasy drafts on things about their lives. So Taco Bell was like one of their first episodes. They drafted things off the Taco Bell menu. The last thing they drafted was the best worst movies, so things that got like less than a 40% off Rotten Tomatoes they drafted. And they're all just they're all comedians or like podcast performers or like writers or something, but they're all like some form of comedy. It is so funny. And then it also like sometimes when you're busy with a project at work and you're listening to something, you can kind of like write down like what you would have drafted.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. So they did like famous mics the other day.
Oh.
And I wrote down like all the mics that I would have drafted. And it made me laugh. So I wrote down like Michael J. Fox, Michael Fassbender, Michael Phelps, and then Michael Jackson, things like that. And it took my mind off this kind of like stressful project, and then it just makes you laugh. And now that's kind of like how I think. Like when I ask people, I always ask people like what their favorite band is. Now I'm gonna say like, tell me your 3 favorite bands, and we're gonna go back and forth, and we can't repeat it. You know? That's I've done like interviews. I do interviews for my job. for different temporary positions we offer at my company. If you're looking for a job in the Broomfield area, please look me up.
Call us at this number.
Please call me. And I now ask them, I'm like, tell me what your dream concert would be, and we're gonna go back and forth.
Ooh.
And it really, because when you go into an interview, when I went into my interview for the job that I have now, I was very robotic, and it's not like a clear presentation of who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a robotic person. But when you're in an interview, you're very rigid, and you're like, this is what I've done, this is what I can do for you, and these are my references. You know, and this, I come in and I sit down and I'm like, hey, I'm Emma. You're going to be doing this job. This is a job description. And then I go, tell me what your dream concert would be. We're going to go back and forth. And I kind of see people like sort of relax, and then you get them in a more relaxed environment. And then I can say like, so tell me about your last job or something like that, something boring. But it gets people a lot more energized to talk to me.
Right.
And then it's also, my first one that I always take is Stevie Wonder. And one guy took Stevie Wonder first, and he got hired because I love talking about that. He was also very qualified. It wasn't just because he took Stevie Wonder. It is so fun.
You're in.
Yeah. God, it's so fun. Just listen to one. If you don't like it, I've cried laughing. It's all fantasy, everything. I absolutely love them. Just please, if you're gonna do anything, listen to that.
Sure. I will. I'm pretty sure that's the same one that my friend has been begging me to go listen to. So I will. If not, then I will definitely listen to it. And if it is, then I will definitely be listening to it. I will extend a recommendation as well. It's in the same vein as the premise of that podcast. This one is called Fantasy Fiction. Although this one, technically, it's discontinued at this point. The one of the creators is still going on, and he kind of evolved into something else. This one is fantasy fiction. Is about two guys that like pretty much once a week they get like two props of a sword and a wizard or something like that. They get like weird props like that, and then they have to write a ridiculous story about that, and then they come back on their podcast and they just read the story back to each other. It's very, very raunchy though. So if you're
oh my god, that sounds funny.
If raunchiness is a deal breaker, then that is not the podcast for you. But if you're okay with it and love that shit, oh my god, it's some of the funny shit I've heard. But that is Fantasy Fiction, I believe. You can find it where you can usually find podcasts. It's also on YouTube. That would be a suggestion for you and just anyone else that's listening.
I will definitely check that out.
I will say the first couple episodes are a little bit slow just because it's a brand new format and brand new everything. So yeah, everything tends to be a little bit slower on the first go. But yeah.
Well, that's really, really cool. I'm gonna check them out. I love this concept of sort of thinking things up on the fly and then laughing about it.
Hell yeah.
Like,
you should have done improv then.
No, did you ever do improv?
Yeah, actually,
my parents did too, and they like yes and each other all the time.
Yeah.
You sort of never get out of it.
No, absolutely not. I did when I was in speech in high school, I did a bunch of events in speech. One of them was a group improv.
Really?
Our group changed quite a bit, except for me and my friend Calvin. We were always in the group since freshman year to senior year. We had Garrett in our group for I think 2 years, freshman and senior year. He will say that he was not very good. I liked him in it. He had an interesting Garrett charm to it, which I really liked. But interestingly enough, freshman, sophomore, junior year, me and this other guy that's been in this improv group, we could not get past the first preliminary round. And then our senior year, our last chance, we make it all the way to All-State, which is like the highest honors. Like you made it. So that was like when me and my friend found out that we made it all the way to All-State, like we called each other and we were like crying a little bit, like, dude, we fucking did it. I'm so proud of us, and we were like, we were
Oh,
crying. Yeah,
that's
it
really, really
was
cool.
it was a
What?
very, very emotional moment just because we worked our butts off and we loved doing it. Like we weren't in it for anything particular. You don't really get anything for making it to
Mm-hmm.
All-State except for
Yeah.
the recognition. But it was just such a great honor, and we've been in this for we had been in that for like 4 years, and just to be good at something that we've always wanted, it was just such a great moment.
I did speech in high school as well.
Mhm.
Um, it is exhausting. It is such a long process. If you didn't do speech in high school, you give up so many Saturdays to
Yeah.
just you perform for like 20 minutes and then you just sit. You
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
sit for hours. And I just you oh my gosh, it's so long. There's so much time commitment to it. I
Yeah.
was I did humorous stuff. I
Sure.
like
Sure. Absolutely.
I literally just like stood up there and would write like stand up and stuff and I would like perform it. And
That
I
sounds
was
really
pretty
cool.
good at it, but like I never medaled. So maybe I wasn't very good. But it's long.
Yeah, yeah. I one year I was actually a judge. I took the judge test and I passed, so I got to judge some the preliminary rounds for speech at Glenwood High School, and I got to judge a kid who I consider a friend with, but I'm me and his older brother. We grew up together, and he's 2 years older than me, but uh we grew up together and we're very close friends. And I got to judge his brother, and that was really cool. And I did not send him because I grew up with him technically too. He actually did a
Mhm.
phenomenal job. But yeah, it was very interesting being on the other side, being a judge for
Mm.
speech. Very interesting. Um, so we've been blabbing on quite a bit. So I will quickly say that what I've been flicking my big to recently. I've just been really busy, man. It's been hard. Mostly it's been I've had to do doing a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, but I'm involved in three projects as the time of this recording of voiceover stuff for projects, and
That's cool.
it's been really been a long task of recording, editing, re-going back and fixing any weird mouth slap or like spit noises. So that takes a lot of time. Like for an example, as the time of this recording, um, and even the previous night when we said, "Hey, let's do a podcast together, an episode."
Mm.
Um, I said, "I would love to do one. I need to finish editing my lines for this. As soon as I'm done, I'll let you know." So when I began editing yesterday for those lines, the length of the file was 13 minutes long, which I sent it out before we started recording, and I got it
Mhm.
down to about like 5 minutes and 30 seconds around there. It
Mhm.
took me about 8 hours to edit that. 13 minutes for 8 hours of work. Um,
Jeez.
if you've never edited like a movie or sound or anything like that, editing takes a hell of a long time. Especially if you really care about it, you kind of become a perfectionist and wanting to fix any mistakes that you do. So that took a lot of goddamn time out of my life. But I like doing the work. It brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Certainly stresses me out at times, but I know that hopefully down the road it will lead to bigger and better things. So that's what I've been flicking my big. I know I feel like every single episode that's what I've been flicking my big is just like, oh goddamn voice acting and gotta all that shit like every single friggin' week. But yeah, still on that train.
So what you're saying is you were flicking your bic to yourself?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, I have no speakable bic to flick uh per se. We'll put that in quotation marks. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know, and I don't want. I feel so feel like a douche by saying this, but like in that kind of line of work where you have to self-critiquing yourself,
Mhm.
um there's a lot of like a lot of pressures of wanting to excel and do good work, not just for uh clients or people that you want to entertain, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of writing on yourself too, because I hold myself to a standard. Like, I want to do good. Like, I hear good things. This is what I want to sound like. And when I just don't make that, it just kind of is a real downer, a real bummer on the whole thing. So, but luckily, I that doesn't really happen to me very much. I'm pretty confident in, not to say I'm confident in myself necessarily, but it's more I'm confident that I know that I'm learning, and I'm confident in knowing that I'm gonna get better. So in that
Mhm.
regards, I absolutely love the work. The stress kind of sucks at times, but I know that it's all worth it down the road. Yep, that's me.
I imagine it must be sort of, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of psychological aspects to it of you're listening to your voice over and over and over again. And so I feel like you might hit something of like, oh, I hate the way I say the H sound. So
Oh
maybe you
yeah,
might start just like using words with like the letter H in it a lot so you can
yeah.
improve it or something like that. Or maybe it's like artwork, like if you've ever drawn something and then you just
Hmm.
slowly like look at it and you're like, I do not like the way I did this. And like
Yeah.
you just sort of like nitpick. But it
Yeah.
seems like you have like a good attitude about it, but it from what I gather about editing is like you sort of listen to it or watch it over and over again until you're like, all right, nah, like we can cut this part out. So
Mhm.
it sounds like it's just a lot of work. 13 minutes going down to 5 is like that's a that's a lot.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it
Like
really is.
that is a
Um,
lot.
yeah, I totally still get that. Like, when I look back on uh award-winning pictures that or paintings that I did in high school that won medals and stuff like that, people will say, "Oh, this looks really good," but then I'll look at it and say, I don't really like it that much. In terms of listening to my voice, it took me a while for me to get used to my voice, which is kind of a weird thing to say. I used to really did not like the way I sounded, mostly because I talk like shit, and what I mean by that is even today I still don't talk properly. Like, I still have a very very noticeable lisp, which literally every day in the car I'm working on trying to pronounce words better. And even just there, I heard myself speak and kind of slur my words a bit. Just a lot of stuff that I'm working on. So in that regard, yes, it kind of sucks to hear yourself, but I think the reason why I'm so happy to do it is because I know that, again, it's a learning process, and it's a rare thing where I will record a line, and I'll hear myself, and I'll hear me, and I'll think to myself, you know, this isn't great, but comparing it to when I first started to do voice acting, this is a hell of a lot better. And that regards makes it all worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's when you see improvement, you're like, this was not in vain. This was all worth it. It's like when you start working out and you really notice results, you're like, "Oh
Yeah,
yeah, like that I see it. This is why. This is why we do it."
absolutely.
It's a good feeling. That pride that you get. I feel you on that.
Absolutely. Well, we have already talked your ear off quite a bit without even getting into the real meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about. So I'm sure that you have seen the title of this episode, but uh, apparently Emma has some hot takes on a couple things. I guess she has a couple things that really grind her gears, so to speak, that she wants to talk about. Um,
Let's yes. Let's do it.
so, first of all, when we talked a little bit about what you wanted to talk about, you listed a couple things, all of which I also have kind of an opinion or a funny story about that, kind of. But the first being is plastic surgery. Now, this is already I don't want to say controversial topic, but it's definitely a topic that has a lot of pros and cons and a lot of positive and negative connotations with it. So yeah, let's talk about plastic surgery for a little bit.
Okay, so this is my thing about plastic surgery. I love it. I am for
Really?
it. Get it. Get as much as whatever you want, you should get. Just just get it. Like if you have the means, if it's in your wheelhouse, just do it. If you want to do it, just do it. There shouldn't be this whole like, oh, plastic surgery shouldn't happen. I do think there's a limit. There are people that are suffering serious injuries to how much they are getting, but I've seen like women just get their lives changed because they spent money on plastic surgery. And it's like, yes, if you have it, go for it. Why not have fun with your face? You know, I
Could you say that again, please?
have fun with your face. Just do it. Go under the knife, get a new nose. Just, this is my thing about plastic surgery. I don't like the hush hush about it. There are many, with the rise of Instagram and different things like that, there are many people out there that have had plastic surgery and they're definitely posing as if they hadn't. I hate that hush hush. We know that you've had it. We know that it's happened to you. Just say it. I don't care. I'm still gonna like follow you on Instagram. I'm still gonna watch your videos or whatever. Just say that you've had it done. I hate that. And what I love about Hollywood is obviously where I'm talking about with plastic surgery. Also, if anyone wants to get it, just do it. But Hollywood, I love pop culture. I love all that other stuff. Every once in a while, something will come out that says like stars then and now. And I love looking at the pictures because you can just see the stars that were like popular in like the 2000s have a completely different nose or like chin
Right.
or cheeks than what they have now. And I'm like, yes, that kind of stuff doesn't happen like with age. No, it happens with a bank account and like a good surgeon. Let's all get it done. It's like, it's here.
Interesting.
Let's have fun. Why not? It's,
I'll
we're
be
all going to get older. We're all going to get like, we're not going to get any better looking. Why not just like have it out now? It's fun. I have friends that have lip fillers. I have friends that have nose jobs and they're like, I love it. And there's a
I'll be
lot of people that it's like, that's all I want. I just want different lips. I just want a different nose. And then they're good. And I'm like, yes, if it gave you confidence, do it.
hmm.
If you're
I'll
getting like a completely different body and there is different health issues involved, I might say like maybe think about it. But if you know, if you want a new chin, get a new chin. Ben got a new chin. Like, and we just don't even
Yeah.
talk about it. Like, it's great. Let's all do it. Let's all get plastic surgery.
I'll be
I'm sure there's a
completely
deal.
honest. I thought you were going to be super against it.
Really?
Yeah,
No. That's
I don't
why I
know.
think it's like a surprising hot take of mine because people are like, oh, you should hate it. Like, why? Why should I hate it?
Hmm.
Like, if I had the means to, I probably would. I just don't know, like, what to do or where to go. So I just, I don't see the point right now. I don't like the hush hush about it. I just really don't. With Instagram, you have a lot of girls that are trying to sell you, like, the tea or, like, the
Yeah.
body, like, different things. And I just hate how they're like, buy this tea and you can look like me. And it's like, yeah, but you also got to spend, like, a ton of money on a plastic surgeon to look like you. It's not just the tea. Give me the money to
Hmm.
spend on a plastic surgeon, and then I will buy your tea. Like, that's just fair. I love plastic surgery. Let's all do it if we want to do it.
So,
It's not the
would
end of the world.
you get that to change something about yourself then?
Oh, 100%.
Wow.
I would like a new nose. If anyone doesn't know, obviously you don't know since this is an audio medium. I have a big nose. I have a very big nose. I got my dad's nose. I have a big nose. I would get a new nose in a heartbeat. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That being said, I don't, it's sort of like in the back of my mind. It's not something I want to do like right now. But if like somebody was like, hey, if you got plastic surgery today, what would you do? I'd be like, yeah, I'd go get a new nose. but I'm not
Hmm.
gonna do it. I'm too lazy. I really am. I'm too lazy and I'm tired. Um, but
I
I've
always
seen
make fun of
YouTubers.
yeah, yeah. I always
Oh,
make fun
sorry.
of Abby and Abby's family's noses. I always poke fun of that at them.
Oh, why? Abby is our friend, and she's got an adorable face. She is very,
I
very
just
cute.
see like I don't know. I just see well I'm very short compared to them. When and I just see their profile looking up at them and they just have a very
Jeez.
a Jewish shaped nose and I gotta
Oh
poke
my
fun at them.
gosh. Oh my god.
My take on plastic surgery. Uh, it's weird. I kind of don't care and care a little bit, but I would
Mhm.
probably say I'm slightly more in favor of not liking it as much.
Okay.
Um, mostly because uh, and it's weird because mostly I feel like everyone should feel okay in their own bodies, but at the same
Mhm.
time, that no or people just don't. Not everybody just feels confident in their bodies, which I totally get that. So in terms of like uh people getting I have had heard stories of teens getting bullied and then they get plastic surgery and then they don't get bullied anymore, which uh on the surface level that's great. They feel more confident and they don't get bullied, so that's great. uh it might be because I'm just a little bit more old fashioned, but I'm kind of more on the side of like you should be comfortable in your own body and
Mhm.
just kind of like that. For an example, uh, ooh, puppy. Uh, I have a cleft lip, and it's very visible. Um, when I well, so when I was born, my upper lip technically it's a birth defect, I believe, but my upper lip was hard to really explain it, but there was like a gaping gash in
Mhm.
my upper lip. So as a baby, they had to sew that together so it looked normal. Apparently, from what my parents have told me, is that after the surgery, I should have been left at the hospital to let that heal, but my parents just took me home, and apparently, um, there was a time where my mom was holding me and like I l baby me, like, leaned back and then, like, leaned back forward, and I guess I smashed my, mouth
Jeez.
into my mom's shoulder, so that's why it looks a little bit funky, it's why it didn't, heal correctly, it's why it doesn't look like a normal upper lip. Um, growing up, I really did not like the way I looked. I always
Mhm.
thought that, "Man, I wish I could just, look normal." Kind of, these past 3 years, I've been very much into, it sounds kind of dorky, but I've very much been into self improvement and like really appreciating myself for me.
Mhm.
And that being said, I'm very happy that I never got plastic surgery, and I'm very happy that I have a janky ass upper lip.
Mhm.
For two reasons. Because one, it's just me. Like people I grew up with, that's what they see. That's what they think about me when they that's what they see when they think about me. And I kind of also, in a weird way, think that like, well, the other people with cleft lips, I'm kind of somewhat. I kind of feel like I want to champion other people with cleft lips and kind of show them like, hey, it's okay being looking a little different, and kind of showing that
Mhm.
like I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the way I look. I thought about changing the way I look, but I decided not to. So in a way, I'm like kind of showing out in public, like, yeah, I have a cleft lip. Deal with it. I'm proud of it. And
Mhm.
I have gotten into conversations with other people talking, like just strangers saying like, "Oh, my son," or like, "I have a cleft lip, and I see you have one." I've had conversations based on that. So in that regard, I'm glad I never had plastic surgery.
I I feel that a lot with like just you have to love yourself. You really do. And I think that's a part of culture about moving forward, about growth. You have to love yourself every step of the way and you have to love the person that you're like, the person that you are. Uh just, that being said, still kind of sticking with mine of like if you have the money, you only live once. Just have fun. I
Sure.
really stand by that of have a little fun. And one of my reasonings behind this was cuz I used to be very much don't change anything about yourself. You know, two people came into this world and they made you and you look like this way for a reason and it's because two people loved each other and it's I read this article about a woman who got a completely different face. She got essentially a face transplant with plastic surgery
Wow.
and uh and in the article, this is what changed my mind. She said that her dad was just a really, really bad guy. Um, was mean to her mother, was mean to her, just an aggressive guy. And she had like his exact face, you know, but
Oh.
obviously on like a woman.
Mhm. Mhm.
And she had his nose, she had his chin, she had like his like facial structure and things like that. And so she was like, I don't want to look like him. I don't want to be thinking about him. And it was, if you saw the pictures in the article, she did look like her dad, like as a child.
Mhm.
And so she went and got plastic surgery, and she's like, I love myself because I'm not dealing with the psychological trauma of kind of seeing my dad and me. And it really got
Mhm.
me going of if you, there's only so much like loving yourself can do when it comes to getting over certain traumas like that. And that really brought me up of like, if it helps you get through the day, do it. If it helps you get through, you know, your life, just do it. Just just do it. And it's I told this to another guy and he wasn't as very like self-love as you. I brought this up to another guy and it was, well, women are just trying to convince men to, you know, we're always trying to swindle men or whatever. And I was like, you know, no. You're no. That's not what we're doing. That's not what's happening at all. You're gonna be into like whatever body you see anyway. Might as well just let the girl have a little fun with it. Just
Yeah.
I I don't like that aspect of like, well, it's just like makeup and women are always trying to convince us that they're like different or I'm just like, no, that's not it. Just just let the girl live. Just let her breathe. Just let her do her thing. It's fine. I just like lip fillers are now a dime a dozen. I can name like 10 to 15 friends that have them and that have had them removed and they're fine and it's like just let the girls have fun. You know, I love myself. I'm very happy with who I am, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
There-
again, for me, at the end of the day, like, if it really makes you happy, you gotta do it, then go for it. Just do it.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's my thought. Just and then I'm obviously not saying like, well, if you don't want it, get it. If you don't want it, don't get it.
Mhm.
Just don't. And don't worry yourself about getting it.
So,
Let's just let everybody live.
so math.
So math.
Very surprised when you wanted to talk about math.
So I was a math major in college, so I'm a little bit more biased than other
Sure.
people. This is what I hate about math. And I'm going to say this in the best way I can.
Oh, okay.
I hate that we as a society and I'm putting us all on this on the whole scope of society, we have all labeled math as dumb or boring. It is not dumb, it is not boring. It is fun, it is nice, and it is when I started like showing that I liked math cuz when you're in school, I really liked math and reading when I was in school. I didn't want to go play at recess. I wanted to read and I wanted to work on like math workbooks. I was that kid.
Mhm.
Um, and I would always get teased of like, oh, you know, you don't like, you know, fun things. You like to read and you like math, and that's lame. Math is not lame. It is absolutely not. You can say that you took Calc 3. You don't have to say that you passed it. You can say that you took Calc 3 on your resume and they would and like employers are like, I
Neat.
like this kid. Like, this is cool. Like, it's when you start showing your teachers that you like math, they will just zoom in on you and they will help you with anything.
I
If you just complain the whole time, I guess
Don't
in
know
my
about
experience,
that.
it could be different. It could be different for some people, but in my experience, I would go up to my teachers and I'm like, I like this. And they would just help me. And it was so nice. And I think that's why I ended up majoring in college. And
Well,
I kept falling in love with it as I kept going. And I got my degree in economics, mathematics, and statistics. And it ended up just being the best thing because I decided along the way that math was not dumb or boring.
well, I have a interesting perspective on math.
Do it.
Because growing up, I was actually fine with math. In fact, I would actually say that I enjoyed math. Um, I was not good at math though, which is weird saying that you like something that you're not good at. So being being Asian, it is weird to have an Asian that is not good at math. Like those don't exist. Can tell you that plenty of us exist. Anywho, I was not. I like doing. I like doing math because I felt like I was doing something that smart people were doing at the very very base level. I struggled with math though. I really did struggle. In fact, the reason, like, I do not know my multiplication tables. I just straight up don't. The reason why I don't is because in third grade, when we took those tests to see if we memorized our multiplication tables, I cheated and I had the answers under my desk. So that's the reason why I don't have my multiplication tables memorized. But they're like long division. I love doing long division. I think that's so fun. Like,
Really?
because I think for me, like, a lot of math is like puzzles and is trying to solve like a problem and is trying to solve a puzzle. So, and a lot of intelligent people are very smart in math. We'll take Garrett for example. He was incredibly gifted with intelligence, and I always admired him for his intelligence. I admire people that are very smart, but I just didn't have the capacity to be good at math and be good at numbers. To this day, I have trouble picturing like I don't know if you ask me what's 39 minus 14, it like and just trying to think of like draw out 39 minus 14 in my head mentally, like it's hard for me to do it. Like it's like I see the numbers and the lines and stuff, but like it's all clouded and foggy and it's like kind of making my mind like blurry and it's just really hard for me to even process that, which is very weird. But anyways, yeah, I always liked math, but was never good at it. And in high school, and yeah, I'd say yeah, in high school I had a lot of trouble with it because I think I just had really, really bad math teachers. For 2 years, I had a teacher named Mr. Lawfulbein, which he's an
Wow.
okay guy. Actually, his one of his sons is in me and Ben's grade growing up. But he was the kind of teacher that he was a good teacher if you were already good at the subject being math. And I was put in a class with a bunch of students that were our age and our grade that we were the group that we were not good at math. So I think he got really frustrated with us because we just did not get it as quickly as the other ones. We just thought differently than the people that picked it up quicker. And he in that aspect, I guess he was a bad teacher because I feel like he kind of gave up on us a lot. The next teacher I had, he I think he only taught math as just another filler for something to do in his school day. He was okay, but again, he didn't really care at all. But my senior year, I took geometry as a senior. I was the only senior in the class full of freshmen and sophomores, so that kind of made me feel a little bit embarrassed, but I had a lot of fun in that class just because I was sitting next to a really good friend of mine who was a sophomore at the time, and we just joked around a lot. But the math teacher I had at my senior year, She went by Miss Roggy. She got married, which it sucks because I want to find her on the internet and just thank her profusely for all
Mm.
that she did because she made math so much fun for me. Like she would like I would ask questions, she wouldn't belittle me or like she would like if I would raise my hand and say, Miss Roggy, I don't understand this. Is there any way you can explain this to me in a different way? And she would do her best to explain it in a different way and until it clicked for me. And I even now just talking about it, I'm getting a little bit emotional because when you
Mm.
finally like are struggling with something, especially schoolwork, especially math of all things, when it's something that a subject you've been struggling all your life, and then finally there is someone that is willing to like help you, like sit down and actually help you to understand it. It's life changing. Like you can really see, you can really tell who are good and bad teachers, and she was definitely a great teacher. But yeah, I had fun with her. I was her fun troublemaker in the class. There was one time where I stole all of her calculators and then I hid them. That was a fun
Mm.
prank. But at the end of the day, I learned math, and I was so happy to
Mhm.
be actually learning. And when I took my geometry final, I was so nervous taking it because I had never graded higher than a D on any math test. And I took it, again, being the only senior in this class full of freshmen and sophomores, I definitely felt dumb. But I took it and I got an A minus on the final, and
Oh.
she was very happy with it. I could not believe that I got an A minus on a math test, let alone a final. And I remember being a little bit emotional, like, oh my god, I can't believe I did good on a math test. And I don't remember if I ever thanked her, but I think I did in a small capacity. But I think my very
Mhm.
last day, I'm like, I just wanted to thank you for, actually believing in me and like not quitting on me. I really want to find her on the internet. She got married, so her last name changed, so I have no idea what her name is. But yeah, I owe her a lot for showing me to not give up on kind of people, especially in the showing
Mhm.
like what the difference is between a good teacher and a great teacher. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of like my history with math. Like I like it, just I was never good at it, and I guess I always just had really crappy teachers.
I think I've heard Ben maybe say a couple things about her.
She was cute too.
Um, she was cute.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
She was
That's
like
really what matters.
23 or 24. That's the only reason why I bring it up because he might have said that she was cute or something like that.
That might be it, but that's probably it. Knowing Ben, just like, did you learn anything? Nah, she was cute. All right, cool. Like, whatever, man. Um,
But yeah.
yeah, I think I've been because I have heard that of math teachers and like even sometimes science teachers can be very belittling because it's like, oh, you don't understand it
Yeah.
and I can't teach it a certain way or I can't teach it another way. So they can like belittle you or something like that. I think this is why my love was facilitated so well. I have been very blessed that my teachers, I have had nothing but great teachers when it came to math. And I've talked with people about this, about my love of math and my love of numbers and things like that. And they just talk about how they were like, I was really interested in it when I was a kid. And then I just had a bad teacher and, I can't do it anymore. And I was like, wow,
Mhm.
that, that really stinks because it's fun. It's fun, being given a project and you can finish it because you've been taught by the correct people and you can solve this problem because you've had people that have loved teaching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people don't have that. Like they don't have my experience when it comes to math. And the teacher just makes the person and it can be
Mhm. Mhm.
even going outside of math. Of I know people that hate science because of a teacher. I hate history. I
Really?
absolutely
Hmm.
hate it. Any sort of history. I had a horrible history teacher in high school. And I went to a small school. We had one history teacher, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. That's all she only taught history and she was just very aggressive.
Oh, okay.
and I wanted to say a better word, but I didn't, so whatever.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
she was she was just like, "All right, you don't get it, we're moving on. You get it, we're moving on."
Yeah.
And her grading was very aggressive
Yeah.
of, you
No.
know, people would have just anxiety over
Mhm.
her class and her grading, and it'd be like, "You turn in perfect work and it's a B."
Mhm.
And you'd sort of get like this headache just going to talk to her and being like, "Why did I get a B?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't think you gave it enough." And it's like, I did everything you asked. Come on." And
Yeah.
now I hate history. I hate it.
That's
I hate learning
unfortunate.
about it. I hate it so much. It was my worst subject. And it's just because I had multiple bad teachers, multiple bad situations, and I was the kid that was like, "I don't understand this. Can
Mhm.
you go over it again?" No? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I guess I just won't understand.
when I actually figured some like a math equation or like how to do a math problem, I felt like I was the smartest kid in the school. I was like on top of the world when it finally clicked in my head, and that feeling is just knowing that you know that you learned something and it stuck and you
Mhm.
actually understand it. There's not really any other
Mhm.
feeling in the world quite like it.
Mhm. This is what it's all about. This is like I remember getting like my first like A on my first math test, and I remember it was like a really really great grade. I ran home and like I show my parents and I'm like, "I'm good at this. Like this is great." And my parents were like, "Yes, you are. Let's just dive into this." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And then so I remember I was really really bad at geography when I was in school, and
I really like
we
geography.
I'm just god awful. I am god awful at it. And uh I just want to I'm very smart about other things, but geography it's just I live in Colorado right now.
Yeah.
Colorado looks very similar to Wyoming.
Mhm.
I've been given presentations at my job in Colorado and have pointed to Wyoming
Oh
multiple
no.
times.
Oh no. Oh
And
no.
people will be
That's not
like,
good.
move your mouse down," and I'll just be like, "Oh, my bad." Like, my bad. I was bad at geography. I did really well on a geography test when I was in high school. And I
Mm.
ran home and I just like held it like on my like bed and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is this is it. I'm gonna start being like Lewis and Clark. I'm gonna make maps. Like, let's get into cartography. Let's do it."
Hell
And then
yeah.
I like bombed the next one. But I was like really happy about that one. And I love that feeling of this stuck with me,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
showed you that I understood it, and this is good. I needed this win, and I have it now. I love it, you know? That being said, I'm still
So,
bad at geography.
what's actually kind of puzzling to me is why you picked puzzles to talk about.
Wow, what a segue.
Yeah.
Why do we have day jobs? Let's get into it. Let's just write segues. Um,
SNL, sign me the fuck up.
let's go. Um, so I love puzzles. I worked at an escape room
Yes.
um, for a while in my life. That is fun. If you have never done an escape room, please do so. Nick, I know you have done one because you did one at my escape
Yeah,
room.
I'm not great at them. I'm really not.
It's fun though.
Yeah, yeah, it was
For
fun.
if you don't know, you solve a series of puzzles, and then the goal is to escape, get out of the room. I love puzzles. I absolutely love it. I love the puzzles that you actually have puzzle pieces for. I love the Rubik's Cubes. I love escape rooms. I love all of that because, and this is why I think I love them, I need to see something be visually completed for me to have that sense of accomplishment. And puzzles are the best way to do that.
Sure.
Puzzles in math, when you write out all your work in math and you can see every step you did to complete it, that
Oh
feels
yeah.
good. When you
Mhm.
see kind of all the puzzle pieces on the ground for a while and then all of a sudden they're like in the perfect little shape and they look exactly like the box, you're like, this is great. I did something.
You should play more Tetris
Escape
then.
rooms, I love Tetris. I love it. All the things build up and then they go away, and you're like, yeah, this is what life is about. This is where we go.
Yeah, did you ever play a lot of Tetris when you were younger, perhaps?
I actually downloaded it on the Switch just yesterday.
Oh yeah, I think you
I
would love the heck out of it.
I love it. I actually had you could get these like dollar games at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Um and they just had one game on it and you just played it until the battery died.
Huh.
And
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
like I remember like my parents bought Tetris and I would like play it in my room and you'd have the flashlight because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have like
yeah.
the light up
Yep.
screen, and you just play with the flashlight, your eyes are just like drying out, and we just play Tetris. It is it's so fun. It is so fun. And I think people feel that way about like solitaire.
For me, it was
Have you played
Pokemon.
that? I'm so out of it. So I was thinking about this yesterday. There are a million Pokemon, I'm sure. And this is I bought the Pokemon game once. And I know you start out as that guy with the black hair or whatever, or I don't know. You start out as the guy, and then it gives you 3 Pokemon to choose from. And one is fire, water, and then like a plant or something.
Yeah.
And this is my thought. I am just starting out this game and I get one Pokemon and there is 5,000 out there.
Well,
I'm
you gotta
already
pick your
way
starter.
behind. I am so behind right now. This is going to take me hours to finish. And I just can't do that. And then I played it for a little bit, and the one that I picked had like I don't know, when you would battle another Pokemon, he had like a
Fair
certain
enough.
power. He had a certain power that was really lame. It was like
Uh,
this guy used confusion, and it was like, oh, that's dumb. I don't like this. I'm also not good at that aspect. I feel like I would like it if I really delved into it because I like the Pokemon Go thing that came out. But
yeah.
that was more about like walking around and talking to people. I like that more than
True.
like going to the gym and whatnot.
Fair
And I
enough.
mean like the Pokemon gym, not like the actual gym.
For me, I'm kind of the same way with math for puzzles. I like puzzles. I'm just really, really not good at them. Yeah, like what I like to do is if I find an interesting puzzle, I'll immediately ask Garrett to see if he can solve it. Not just to like not that I am, but I'm not meaning to poke fun at him. I'm just really curious to see if he can solve it. I
Mm-hmm.
uh I kind of I told him, but I keep forgetting about it. But I told him that I will vow to beat him at chess by 2025. So until then, I still need to practice chess. But
Do you know how to play?
what's that?
Do you know how to play chess?
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I'm no like expert at chess. I know how to play chess, but in terms of like tactics and stuff like that, I'm not the best at it. But
Mm.
no, I definitely like a good puzzle. I mean, d- I I think I think riddle puzzles are maybe one of my favorites. I like riddles a lot just because
Really?
yeah, there's kind of a big shock value at the end. We're like, oh, that's what it was. And it's also combines like uh interesting. You have to be like a really good wordsmith to make a riddle. And I guess I would consider a riddle a puzzle. But in that respect, I also have a couple. Like I think twice I've given Garrett a not sure what you call them, but they're metal. They're like metal things that you really hard to explain these without showing you a picture of it, but they're essentially metal rods that have been like twisted and curved into intricate shapes, and then
Oh, I
like
know what you're talking about. And
yeah,
you have to
those
take them
things.
apart.
Yeah, I've given two of those to Garrett as gifts, and I'm pretty sure he saw both of them like within the day that I gave him those. Um, and I think for me, mostly in that respect of like me wanting to test Garrett, I think I just like to watch him work and just watch his brain work. Because to me, again, I really admire intelligence since I'm not a smart man. So I in that regard, I like puzzles quite a bit. I like challenging people to puzzles more.
Mhm. I I like people's from working at the escape room, I like people's drive to like go about solving it.
Yeah.
So, like in the escape room that I worked at, there was like always one place that you always had to start, and I always liked watching how fast people would like figure out how to start.
Hmm.
And that I love that. And Garrett's a very focused guy. I feel like he was, you're just like, here you go, figure this out. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna do this and only this until it's done.
Hmm.
He seems like that kind of guy. And, I say that from only knowing him through you guys. You guys obviously know him a lot better than I do. Uh but yeah, like he just seems like a focused guy, and I love watching people figure out how to solve things. I think it's a really really just cool thing to watch. And just
I
puzzles
uh
they're just fun.
I believe I think me and Garrett had a huge discussion about this, but I think the reason why I like puzzles a lot is they're for the most part puzzles are like, you do this and you solve the puzzle. I think it's
Mhm.
fascinating that it's essentially the same steps to solve it, but depending on who it is, it's a different mindset on how they reach to those steps. So same
Mhm.
thing, but different people go about it different ways, and that's just fascinating to see someone go at it differently.
Yeah, I that really just shows you into the mind. And the thing that I actually like about escape rooms, something that they're doing now is to decide to hire somebody. Like a lot of corporate jobs will put the a person that they're thinking about hiring, the potential new hire, into an escape room, and they'll judge how they go about figuring out how to escape.
Mm,
And I think that's fascinating. Is
absolutely.
you can learn so much about a person, and then you can also judge if they're a really good fit
Oh
for
yeah.
your company based on how they solve a puzzle. Like that
Yeah. That's a
that
great
is
idea.
fascinating. It's so like it's just so prevalent if you work in, a corporate setting. Are you one of those people that has to get sort of worked up and then solve a problem, or can you stay cool and calm, or are you more of a, fast? Are you do you just work really fast, or are you very slow at putting things together or something like that? That is so fascinating to me
Mhm. Mhm.
on watching anyone do it. That it's puzzles are it's they're very cool. They're really really cool.
You
I
hear that? Go out and solve a puzzle.
do it. Take I also like this. This is a side note. I loved seeing couples on their first date
Uh-huh.
go to an escape room. It's adorable because they don't really know how to communicate with each other. And they're also they're trying to get to know each other while solving a series of puzzles to get out of the room. So you'd watch these people sort of like, "Oh, do you have any siblings? Can you just unlock the box, please?" Like, it was hilarious.
That is really
Or
funny.
and they'd like sort of not know what to do if they escaped. Like, do they hug? What do they do? That was they
Uh.
you sort of like learn about a person that you want to date through an escape room. Like, are they nice to you throughout the process? Are they trying to communicate you and get you involved, or are they like shutting down when they realize that they're losing? There's just different things like that that I really loved. You can learn a lot about your potential partner if you go to an escape room. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
With
that is a great way to test someone's mettle. Absolutely. Uh
Nick, you heard it here. You need to take your next date to an escape room.
yeah, yeah. There's actually an escape room in Glenwood. I actually
Is there really?
the owners are actually my neighbors. So talk about small towns there. Call back to the last episode. But yeah, I think that will about do it for this episode. Emma,
Yeah.
I will say interesting hot takes. Plastic surgery. I thought you were gonna go in a completely different direction.
I thought you were gonna be on my side.
I've kind of I'm kind of on the fence about it. And then math and puzzles kind of go together, but yeah, I love discussing intricacies of intelligence, different variations and different levels of intelligence. So yeah, I really dug your hot takes. Wonder if we can make this a congruent thing then.
Let's do it. I should be on the podcast.
Absolutely. We still need to do like I think it'd be really cool if we did like a couples episode or something like that.
With
yeah.
who?
Someone needs to go get the date. I don't know who. I know Ben. I know Ben, and you and Ben have you're together. I can't think of anyone else that is also on the podcast that is not in a relationship. I just I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll think about that for another episode. How about that?
Okay, cool. We're gonna be in town in May. We'll have to do something then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, I should be free around there. Yeah, let's do that. For the
We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
This is what our listeners want to hear.
Yeah, about our plans, which they're clearly not invited to.
Oh, hey, do you want to go to the pool while I'm there?
Wait. Do you mean the Glenwood pool?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the high school Glenwood pool? Okay, so sorry, there used to be an old Glenwood pool, and I was thinking of that pool. I've never been to the new pool at the high school. Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of interesting.
Do that.
Yeah, I'd be down.
We'll do the podcast about the pool.
Oh boy, we can talk about
so it's Nick and Emma back from the pool, sunburnt to shit.
Talk about bikinis, and because I actually really like talking about interestingly enough, I like talking about wedding dresses and just dresses in general.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I could talk about wedding dresses for a while.
Yeah, and just not just wedding dresses, but just women's dress wear, I suppose. But that's for another podcast.
So like women's clothing.
Not exactly women's clothing. Mostly dresses.
Fuck them jeans.
You can do a lot with a dress, and they're all so varied, and it's just interesting to talk about them. But that's for another podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us on this hot podcast about hot takes. Very, very hot. A lot of hotness going on here. But anyways, thank you so much, Emma, for joining me on this podcast and the previous one. There was really. I know you a lot more. I know I can talk to you about more interesting things, and I think our friendship has grown and blossomed farther.
I think so too. Let's do this more often.
Absolutely, that sounds wonderful. All right, guys, I think we're gonna take off. So why don't you guys go out there and solve a puzzle? Maybe do a math problem, and yeah. Do some of that stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.